In a hurry. I totally forgot that today I wanted to show you the most common mistakes when it comes to Maven version ranges. So come right with me. Hi guys, how's it going? We all are used to Maven version numbers. Actually, we think so, but if I look at some open source or even commercial projects, I often saw the same mistakes when it comes to Maven version numbers. And I want to show you these mistakes and tell you the ways how to get around them. And in the end, you will learn that version numbers are a great thing to use in Maven, actually when you're using Maven version ranges. So let's go right into some code and see how to do it wrong and how to do it correctly. What we've got here is some open source project a coworker of mine wrote, and it is using Jersey, and he tried to use version 2.31. Actually, in most cases this will work, but not in all cases. So if we do Maven dependency tree, you will see that actually the code will use version 2.31 currently. We can see this here. The JSON binding of Jersey is loaded in version 2.31 actually. So what is wrong with that? The first problem is that this just says if you have 2.31, then use 2.31. But what happens if you don't find 2.31? The code will not break. If you want the build to actually stop when version 2.31 is not found, then you have to do this. This means use exactly version 2.31 and don't try ever to use a different version. This can be a difference in some situations. For example, if you lose your internet connection and you have an outdated file on disk which says you have locally stored several versions of Jersey and the latest version is, for example, 2.29, then it will not use 2.31. It might use 2.29. Actually, I never had that problem myself, but at least this is what the definition says of the version numbers. So the first step is put your version number in braces when you want exactly this version. Failure number 2, people are not used to use version ranges, so they find in the description that there are version ranges, but they're not so trivial to use as you might think. Version range means you start with 231 and you end with, for example, 250, and you can mark it with parentheses, which means at least 2.31 up to but not including 250. This would mean including, this is not including. So people think, okay, I will get a release version, at least I will get 2.31 and I will get latest 2.49. And exactly this is not what is happening. Why not? Because there are snapshots, because there are milestones, alphas, betas, and all that. So what happens if the system finds a, let's say, 2.40 milestone 1? It will pull it. And the next problem is you have no switch to say, I don't want milestones, I don't want snapshots. It will treat milestones and snapshots as valid version numbers. So you have to be clever. So what you normally do is to reduce the span. This is a fancy span from -31 to -50. Nobody will do this in reality. In reality, you will have semantic versioning. If you don't know semantic versioning, or SEMver in short, this is a way to deal with version numbers, which is mostly common to everybody of us. You can have a written description of that on the SEMver manifest page. Semantic versioning 2.0.0 describes what we all feel with version numbers already. You have a major version, a dot, a minor version, a dot, and a patch version. So 2.31 dot whatever. And in addition, you can have labels for pre-releases and build metadata like snapshot, for example. So these labels are a problem with Maven version ranges. So what we should do is, first, do not have a fancy span, do have a semantic version span. What you should not do is start with 2 and end with 3. You will get any version like 2.29.1 minus snapshot or 2.31 minus M1. You don't want snapshots, you don't want milestones. And even if there are no milestones or snapshots, you don't want actually to get any arbitrary combination of features. You want to have control. So what you do is, typically, you start with the version you developed with, which might be 2.29.1. And you end with 2.30, which means you will get any patches, so bug fixes, performance optimizations, security fixes in this span. So you will be sure your API will not change. It cannot change because you want SEMver. So you have 2.29, which is the API you coded against. You start with the bug fix you are sure your software is working with because you have this on your disk already. And you end with 2.30 excluding, because you do not want to have any new features. A new feature will give you more bugs potentially, so you don't want that. So you stay with the 2.29 line and say the 2.30 is excluded. You also do not want to increase the major version. This will be worse. It might fail to compile completely because version 3 might have dropped some APIs. So you stay within 2.29 by declaring 2.29.1 to 2.30 excluding. The next step is you have to exclude anything which comes before 2.30. So you do not want any snapshots. Snapshots are always before the final version. So they are before 230, so they would be included. So we exclude the snapshots. But there is a problem with milestones still. Milestones are valid releases. There are no snapshots anymore. So we have a milestone 00 or milestone 01. So this would work. Now 2.30 milestone 1 would be excluded too. So the range is really thin. But there's the next problem. Nobody forces people that milestones start with an M. You could, for example, release a version which is called A01, like alpha or beta. So the smallest letter is an A and the smallest number is 00. So now you have everything sorted out, which comes in the way of automatic version resolution, because the label A00 is the lowest one, which typically could happen. Why not this one? Because it's a string sort, and there's a difference between this one and this one. So this is the smaller one actually. So to sum up, if you want to be sure to only get automatic bug fixes, you have to control what goes into the version range. You have to exclude everything that you don't want. You exclude milestones, alphas, betas, and snapshots. You exclude the next minor version. You exclude the next major version. So this is what you end up with if you want to have exactly 229.1 to 230A00. So back to my coworker, he wanted 31. So what he actually wants is 31, actually .0. You can omit the .0. 2.31 is the same as 2.310. And you want to end with 2.32 excluding, which means effectively don't use any arbitrary number just because you dropped the internet connection and cannot update your caches. You will only get the 2.31 if it's on disk, and you will get all bug fixes, all security fixes, all performance optimizations for 2.31. So you have to write 2.32 minus AA parentheses. There is one caveat with Maven ranges which happened a few times to me actually, and this is when the index is broken of the Maven repository. So if this happens to your own repository, you can simply fix or rebuild the index. But what happens if the dependency is stored in Maven Central? So here is a final trick. There's a website set up by Sonatype. They are not only running OSSRH services, they are not only running Maven Central, but also this page. And in this page, you can log in and file complaints if the index is broken of Maven Central. So I filed a complaint that actually the metadata was broken for JaxRS. And so I described what I did, and that I have checked there are actually versions uploaded, but it's inconsistent, so it does not find what people expect. And they're very nice. They fixed it rather soon. They triggered a recreation of the Maven metadata files of Maven Central. And actually this fixed it within a few hours. So don't be shy. Go on that webpage. Oh, you cannot see the URL actually. So, sorry. The URL is issues.sonatype.org. Log in there, create a login for you, log in there, and file any broken metadata you find. So far for today. I hope you learned something interesting about how to use Maven versions and Maven version ranges correctly. So good luck with fixing your index if they're broken, and good luck with asking Sonatype to fix theirs. So now it's time to play around with that. Stay safe and party on!